Here are videos. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to interact with Walrus using the CLI. While I might not be able to show you every command in the Walrus CLI, I'm going to show you the major commands which you're going to be using to interact with CLI. So first of all, let's head over to our terminal. Before we can use the Walrus CLI, we have to make sure we have SWI tokens. So right now, we're on testnet, so we're going to make sure we have SWI testnet tokens. And don't forget, you have to have a Walrus CLI installed. I made a tutorial video previously showing how to install Walrus or Walrus CLI. So now, to check if we have our SWI tokens, we go to SWI client gas. I'll also sure we have at least one SWI gas token. So right now I have, so just in case you don't have Walrus testnet token, you can just head over to Discord to claim one. So let me get my wallet address. So to get my wallet address, I have to do SWI clients active address, and I'm going to head over to my Discord. I'm going to copy this address, then I'm going to head over to Discord. So now I'm on Discord. I'm going to head over to the SWI server, then head over to faucets. Then I'm at faucets. So I'm going to go to testnet faucets. Then I'm just going to clean what right faucets. Then paste in my I not copy my wallet address. So I have to come back here. I copy my wallet address and paste it. Then I already cleaned before, so that I'm able to clean again in the next 2 hours. So these I can get all of these to get your testnet faucets. So I already have mine. So coming back to the documentation, we can see we can run the first command Walrus help to get help here we need to like see the commands you have on Walrus. Then what we can do Walrus info. So if I come here, copy this command and head over to my terminal, I'm going to get an error which says every millet not found in wallet. So right now we're actually working with testnet and not millet. So when we command on the CLI for testnet, you're going to add contexts. Then you're going to specify like testnet. So if I do this now, let's wait for some minutes. Now you would see it has given us info. So currently, at epoch 17 start time. So duration for epoch is 1 day. So now let me explain epoch to you. So you be well do this tutorial, we hearing comments like epoch. So epoch it's a duration just in time. So one epoch on minutes, 1 epoch is about 2 weeks. I think it's specified here. Yeah. So on minutes, 1 epoch is about 2 weeks. While on testnet, I think it's 1 day. So epoch is the duration in which your file will be stored. So you also come across first. So first is the smallest series of 1, just like you have mixed for SWI. So first is the smallest series of 1, and 1 y is equals to 1 billion first. So these are for some information you can do. So this is the price for each storing and coding. So you can later on you can go over it. I can't go over everything right now. I just want to show you the basic command you need to interact with Walrus. So one thing again, to interact with Walrus, we need to get Walrus token. So to get Walrus token, right now we are on testnet, so we just have to get Walrus on testnet token. It's on minute, you have to acquire tokens and put them into your wallet. So to get Walrus token, I'm going to do the command Walrus get Y. But if I run this command, I'll come into an error. Just like I said before, we're on testnet, so we always have to put the context testnet. So if you don't really have to be putting this testnet, you can go over to your config file, your Walrus config. So if I go over to my .config folder, which I have here, I'll head over to Walrus and I'll open client.config. So if I open client.config, if I come here, I have to change this default context to to testmates. So I come here and change to testmates. We don't always have to put that context again. So if I just remove this, I'll close the file, come back here again and run the command. You see right now it will work without you putting context or testnet. So but if you just move that to minutes, you have to go back and change that to minutes. So right now we've gotten our wow token. So we have 0 points. We exchange that for wow. So we actually have wow to work with. So the next command I'm going to be showing you is how to store files on Walrus. So if you're to Walrus, you're seeing blobs. So what are blobs? So blobs are files that are stored on Walrus already. So now every file stored or every data stored on Walrus is called a blob. So if you hear blob, don't be confused. Those are actually files saved on Walrus. So now let me show you how to save a file on Walrus. So let me change my directory. Okay, or let me do this easiest way. Let me open my file explorer and head over to maybe pictures. Let me come here and let me open this in my terminal. So now let's say I want to save this my PFP. I have it as my data.png. So let me just copy the name my data.png. I want to save that file to Walrus. So I can just come here, run this command, Walrus store file. So I'll just come here, run the command, Walrus store. Then what file are we storing? We're storing sorry, I made a mistake here. We're storing my data.png. Then we have to also specify the epoch. Like I told you what are epoch, the duration in which the your file is received on Walrus. So now let me just put it as 2 epoch. So if it's on mainnet, that will be about 4 weeks. On testnet, that will be 2 days. So actually the max epoch your files can be saved, which is about 53 weeks. So that is 53 epochs, sorry. That's the max epoch. That's about I think 2 years. So that's the max epoch your file can be saved. So to erase the max epoch, I just come here and put mark, so like leave it. So for your data to be saved for that duration. So I'm going to change this back to 2. So if I run this command, so if you look, our file is saving to Walrus. So now if you look at it, our file has been successfully saved to Walrus and it's cost us 0.021 to save that data on Walrus. So if you come here, this is the blob ID. So every file saved on Walrus has a blob ID. So just like a file ID, but like I told you, on Walrus is called blob. So that's the blob ID, and this is Sui object ID for that file. So if you head over to your Sui Explorer or Walrus scan, you can actually diagnose way to do that, right? Like you can do it on your own. I don't want to make the video long. So we successfully save that to Walrus. One thing, if you come back to documentation again, you can also use this command to save multiple files. So now let's say I want to save all files here with .png or with .png. Like that's this. Okay, I think this is the link.png. Okay, this I will save all that to Walrus. You can just come here and use this command start dots to save them on Walrus, and you also get the blob ID. So that blob ID is actually what you use to retrieve the file back from Walrus. So in respect of storing files to Walrus, one thing is that you cannot store the same data that exists on the Walrus. And meanwhile, why storing files on Walrus? They are not equipped. Anybody can access this file with this blob ID. So with this your blob ID, anybody can be able to access this file. And you cannot also store the same file that is on Walrus. So now let me come back to here and to our folder, and let me still copy this my data.png. Let me copy the name again and let's try to save that file. Now if I come back here, let me run the command again. So now if you come back here, you see that it says success. Blob was already available on Walrus. So the file is already on Walrus. So just like I said, you cannot save a file that already exists on Walrus. So now let's say I'll be the sense of the name, Sha. So I can come back here and see change the name and still same thing. I cannot store a file that is already on Walrus. So the aim I can store a file that is already on Walrus, how to store it again with a different object ID. What I can do, I have to use the first command. So I have to add this first command. That's the only way I can store a file that already exists on Walrus. So one thing you can do again is to check the status of our blob. So now to check the status of our blob, that means get more information about our blob. I can just say Walrus blob status. Then I'm going to pass in the blob ID. So blob ID. Then I'm going to pass my blob ID. So let me copy my blob ID from here. Then I'm going to paste it here. Now let's allow this command to run. So looking at, sorry, let me close this. So now looking at this, we are going to see more information about our blob ID. First of all, we're going to see expiring ID expiring. We're going to see when our blob is going to expire. So our blob is expiring in port 17. Right now, our current import is import 17. So it's going to expire in the next import. You're going to show the expiring time, the related event. So you're going to see more information about your blob ID. So last thing I'm going to be showing you is how to read files saved from your blob. So you can also use command blob status, so you can do more of this. So next I'm going to be show you how to read files that are saved to Walrus using a blob ID. So let's come here, then let's copy this command, Walrus read. Then I'm going to paste this command. Then I'm going to pass in my blob ID to this is my blob ID. I'm going to pass in my blob ID here. Then I'm going to be saving the file I read. So I'm going to save it to a file. I'm going to read the blob to a file. So I'm going to specify out, then to find it. I'm going to call it wal img dot, let's say, png. So I'm running this command. So if we come here to our folder, we're going to see a file called wal img.png. So let's wait for the command. So right now I'm reading a file from Walrus. So now if you've noticed, we've successfully read the file for Walrus. And we come back here, we'll see a file called wal img.png. So this is how we can actually save a file to Walrus, get the blob ID, and retrieve the file back from Walrus. So another thing I'm going to be showing you is how to delete a file saved on Walrus. So you can actually delete the file saved on Walrus using the blob ID. So coming back to here, you see you can remove space. So actually, if you delete a file from Walrus, you actually get the space, or whatever you get the space. So next time if you want to upload the file to Walrus, you don't have to pay, since you've deleted that file for Walrus, and that space you paid for the space before, so you can reclaim that space and use to save another objects. So now to delete an object, so to do that, I'll copy this command, I'll paste it, then I'm going to get our blob ID again. We have this blob ID here, and I paste it. Actually, this is not going to go, because every file saved on Walrus is actually permanent unless you pass in the deletable command. So I might look at the 0 operation completed successfully. No owns deletable objects. So sorry, blobs. So there are deletable blobs and there are non-deletable blobs. So by default, any file saved on Walrus cannot be deleted. They are not deletable blobs. So for it to save a file on Walrus that you can delete, you can come here you can actually put the deletable context. So let me go back to my command and open my file. So now let's say I want to save this img.jpg, this image. Let me copy it. And I want to save it on Walrus, and I want to be able to delete it. Right now, our previous image received, the camera able to delete it. So now this one, for me to be able to delete it, um, so I'm going to do Walrus stop. Then I'm going to pass in this. I'm going to pass in the image name. Then right here, I have to put in deletable. Delete. Sorry. Deletable. So I'm going to pass in this command. I'm going to run this. So that right now, this file has removed Walrus. We can go to delete it because we put in this deletable argument there. So by default, if you don't put that, you can't be able to delete the file for Walrus and clean the storage. So just like I said, every file saved on Walrus, if you put the name command, it can be deleted and the storage can be claimed to save another blob. So let's wait for this file to be saved. So now if you look at it, we've actually saved it for Walrus again, and this is a blob ID. So let me copy this blob ID and let me try to run this delete command again. So if I run this command, Walrus delete, then passing a blob ID and try to delete this. So now this will run successfully because we put in the deletable command. So we can be able to reclaim the storage of this blob to save another file there. So I'll pick on Y to proceed. So if you look at it now, it will say the blob was removed from Walrus and all so if you look at it, it has been successful. So you can look at it, say the blob was removed from Walrus. Note that the data may still be publicly available if someone has already downloaded it. So just like I said, every data on Walrus is publicly available. If you have this blob ID, you can actually go back to get data on Walrus. So now someone might have downloaded that data before, so it might still be on a person system. So that's why almost they mean by this command. So there are actually different ways to delete files or blobs from Walrus. First of all, you can specify the blob ID. Another thing you can use again is the object ID. Then another thing you can use again is the file name. So now, just like before, I can just put in my file name. I forgot what my file name was. So let's say this was my file name, image as PNG. You can just put it there. So those are different ways to delete data from blobs or Walrus. So you can just test it out. I will not be able to go over the commands of Walrus. I'm just showing you the basic commands you need to interact with Walrus. So moving over to the next command, there is something called shared blobs. So shared blobs are blobs that can actually be funded by anybody. Anybody can fund the blobs. So just like I said, every blob ID has an expiring date, that's an epoch. So anybody can increase the epoch. So if you put it as 2, for a shared blob, anybody can actually fund that blob to make it last longer on Walrus. So to create a shared blob, we have to pass in the blob audit ID. So now let me popular data to Walrus. So let me put this just this peg. Let me copy it down. So let me head over to my terminal and store this again. So let me store this data on Walrus. So I have successfully saved this to Walrus. So to make this a shared blob, we have to come here and copy this command, Walrus share, and passing blob ID. Let me come here, then blob. I'm going to pass in the blob audit ID. So this is blob ID and this is blob audit ID. So I'm going to come here and copy the blob audit ID and paste it here. So I have successfully made this blob a shared blob ID. So one thing you can do again, you can actually fund a shared blob ID. So now to do that, we can come here and run this command. We have the command here, Walrus fund share blob ID. So if I copy the command here, let me come here and just change this share blob. So I'll paste this here. Walrus font shared blob. Then I'm going to pass in an amount. So let me just say amount. Then I want to fund it. Let's say I want to put about 0.021. So to do that, I'm going to use, just like I told you before, if you come up here, you'll see something like first. So now I'm going to specify the amounts in first. So you come here in first. So now to fund that with first, let me just put about 2 million first. So let me come back here and put million first. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if I run this command, sorry, I made a mistake here. So let me put a new terminal. Let me just come here and put another terminal. Let me not clear the terminal. So let me put a new terminal. Now let me run the command again. Walrus on shell blob ID. So if I come in and let me just check, ask for help to see necessary arguments I could pass. So I could pass the shared shared blob orange ID. So I'll copy this. I will come here again. Then let me get my blob ID. So now if you look at it now, why did this different? This first object ID, this blob ID was the blob ID was already shared. So now when we made the shared object blob, they gave us another object ID. So this is it. So we have to copy this object ID here. Then we have to paste it here. Then put an amount. Then let me make it 2 million first. So if I run this command, we're actually going to. So if you look at it, we funded a blob with more 0.02y. Another command we can run again is the Walrus extend. So you can just place around these commands. I'm not going to run it for now. So let's move on to the next command. So now you can run Walrus blob ID file. So let's say you clear the terminal. So now let's say I clear my terminal here, and the last file I uploaded, I want to get the blob ID. So let me copy this command and paste it. Then on the last file, go to pictures. Okay, the last file I uploaded was pip.jpg. So I come here and also the blob ID. Can just place the file name. So now if you look at it now, we've actually gotten the blob ID and the encoding type. So there are different encodings to Walrus. Our advice, you go back to documentation and try to read. I will not be able to explain everything in this video. It's going to be very long. So I can actually create another tutorial video explaining the different encoding types of Walrus. So for now, don't bother about that. So this is the blob ID. So so another command I will want you to know about is this Walrus list blobs. Now let's say you want to get all the blobs uploaded. Now they run this command Walrus list blob. Now this will give you all the non-expired blob objects that's in the current account. So now right now these are actually all of my blobs. I have set the blob ID, deletable. So these are all the blob objects ID. Now we actually give it so now let's allow one we can pass is the include expired. So this was also going to give us the list of our expired blob ID. So right now this blob ID are actually not expired. So to actually get the expired ones also, we can run these commands. So don't worry, I'm going to be bringing compiling all these commands into um GitHub repo to make it easier. So another thing we can do again is blob object and the blob ID attributes. So so look at it here, blob attributes. So now a blob can have different attributes. So now we can give our blob um different attributes. So let me come here. Let me see. That's one good one. I think it was our blog. Sorry, it's on the data terminal. So let me place this command here. Then I'm going to get the blob object ID. So come back to this terminal. Yeah, I'm going to copy this blob ID, the object ID, sorry. Then I can give it different attributes. So the first attribute I have to specify with sorry ATTR. So now the first attribute I'm going to give it the first. First of all, I'm going to give it a key. So now the first one, let me call it name. So let me give it name. Then the value, supposed to be value. Let me call it Africa. Now, if I can do a second attribute again. Then let's say from then I'm going to put block chain bad. Then I'm going to run this command. Okay. So I think the reason we are having this error, which is not on objects, is because we actually, if you could remember, we made this blob is shared blob. So we are not actually in that again, it's not shared. So I think that's why we cannot be able to add attributes to it or change the attributes. Because if you look at this our blob IDs here, this particular blob ID does not exist. So now let me just guess what the blob IDs I have here. And let's try to like add attributes to it. If I come back here and let me change this blob object ID. And my network is bad. My internet connection went down for a while, so let's run the command again. So live, you see, successfully added attributes to the blob object. So now, to get an attribute, so we can just use this command Walrus get object attributes. So to get the attribute of an object of a blob, sorry. So now we're going to pass in the blob object ID. So now look at it. We gotten the attributes name and its name and the attributes. So now we can actually remove an attribute. So I'm not going to do this, but look at it. Yeah, you can remove an attribute, put in the attribute the object ID and the keys. They can also remove all attributes. So that's it for the basic interaction of Walrus. So I've actually put in all these commands in a way that it's very easy for you to access it. So you can just head out over to my repo. I'm going to put a link in the description. So if you look at it here, it will take you through the installations and how to interact with it. I gave a step-by-step guide on how to interact with Walrus CLI. So now with this video, you should be able to interact with Walrus CLI seamlessly. If you have any question, you can always hit me up or drop your questions in the comment section. I'll always be here to answer your questions. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.